Hey everybody, it's March of 2020 and I'm still kind of laid up from my ankle surgery, so I'm not doing full shop time, but I'm out here today selecting wood for the rest of the spring instruments. My friend Carrie came out to the shop today to climb up the ladder and pull stuff down, and I thought you folks might just want to see all the wood I've got laid out for customers and kind of how I think about things, you know, how I make layout decisions, and yeah, so we'll go through that. Okay, so when I start selecting wood, you got to pull out some templates so we make sure we got the right size. There's some, you know, that are like this, that are like half of a instrument shape, one for each size. And then also ones like this that you can see all the way through are also really helpful. So, you know, you got to make sure things are going to fit. You might have a board that you think is going to be for a tenor, and then it just turns out it isn't quite the right size. To start with, got a couple spruce and walnut ukes here. This is a tenor, and this one's a baritone. Really nice walnut with some sapwood in it. And this customer wanted some of my wide grain spruce from Camp Westwind, and I really like this stuff, but it depends how many knots the customer wants to deal with, because I don't mind using knots, and they're okay if they're stable, but you know, so you could maybe lay it out like this, which cuts one of the knots out. That might be really nice. Then we get down here, we've got some nice straight grain Porterford cedar. This is gonna be for an alto uke with some crazy quilted curly maple on the back. It's gonna be amazing. Good looking stuff. Let's get my template here. Example though, here is some nice big walnut pieces for another baritone. And it's easy to get excited looking at a piece like this and think about like, oh, look at all the cool stuff that's on there. But once you really put the template on, you realize you lose a lot of the visual impact because it's not that big of a thing. So you got to think about that sort of thing. Sometimes you might cut an inch out of each side of these to close up the multicolored stuff, and then you get some more dark on the edges. But these pieces, they'll be big enough to get the sides out of there. And then some other stuff up here too, but baritone back there for sure. And then like this baritone back, this will be a baritone back and sides for a walnut, for a baritone, right? That'll look great too. So they've got some master grade myrtle over here. This is an example where the customer will look at all three sets and pick out what they want. This one's got this crazy color variation in it. With this one too, the most impressive extreme figure is in the middle here, but it's kind of a weird saw cut and it's kind of punky right there. So I'm probably gonna slice a bit out of the middle and then book match it and have the customer look at it. But can't go too far out. We've got some knots there that we might want to avoid. You know that I don't always avoid the knots, but yeah. This is for another baritone. Gosh, I have lots of baritones now. Here's kind of thinking about that. Do you want a lot of white, not much white? You also could book match it this way. You also could do it this way. That could look cool too. That is going to get paired with a really beautiful curly Port Orford cedar top. Looks a little muted now, but it's really curly under the finish. It's going to be super butterscotch. And it's got some spalting coming in from the ends, which looks cool, but you got to be careful that that's not too punky, especially for a top. Backs and sides, we can get away with filling stuff with epoxy or whatever, but... And I had another customer who wanted myrtle, and this is kind of typical, where she said she wanted it to be symmetrical myrtle. So this is kind of a standard set, no upcharge. But then I happened to also pull out another set that's got straight grain symmetrical, but it's very curly. So that would be an upcharge, but I'll show her both, and then she can choose, you know, which one she likes better. Yeah, and then also I got some, oh, we're on scooter cam now. Ooh, here we go. Also, I pulled some wood for 3 banjo projects for this spring. We've got a curly maple banjo uke here. That's doesn't look that curly in the board, but I know it is. Once you get to it, you can really see it on the edge here. This stuff is from Wildwood Banjos. When he retired, I bought some of this wood. And this customer wanted to use the Japanese oak that came from Camp Westwind in the tsunami. So it was driftwood, 2011. and you can see it's got these cool wormholes in it. I only have this board and these little scraps left of the Japanese oak. So I'll probably use this for a fretboard and then find ways to incorporate all this stuff into decorative details. But then we need more to match the rest of it. So I pulled some Oregon white oak that I know is gonna match pretty well. And I already, you know, milled up these segments just to see if it was gonna match. I like it. Some big board here that's gonna be the neck. This is from the Carpenter Ant Stash. Very old Oregon white oak. It's really nice stuff. And then I had an order for a curly maple big 5-string banjo. So there's gonna be the neck right there. This is maple from Xena Forest Products in Salem, some friends of ours, Ben and Ruben's Mill. And this will be enough for the neck and probably 2 rims. This is all I have left of this stuff. And it's cool because it's multicolored. That'll be fun for sure. And yeah, that was what we got done this morning, pulling wood. It was really helpful to have Carrie around. And now I have to photograph it all and show it to customers so I can sort it and put it away and get ready to make their ukes this spring. Kind of a nice project to do when I'm a little bit laid up. So cheers.